Wednesday, March 12th, and we are live on WagerTalk TV. This is PuckTime. Andrew, Carmine, and Buster here to break down 3 games for you. Props, sides, totals, all the good stuff. You name it. The playoff race is here. We'll talk about a few games involving some teams competing for a wild card spot. Also, teams trying to elevate their playoff position as well. Should be a great show. And I'll bring in my co-host, Carmine Bianco. Carm, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. Only 4 games tonight, but we're going to talk 3 of them. We are going to talk. I'm wearing the Detroit jersey, Patrick Kane. There it is, Patrick Kane. So we're going to talk Detroit against some team from Buffalo, Vancouver, Calgary, another playoff battle, and then how can we not talk the Montreal Canadiens with you two guys on the show? Montreal is in Seattle, hoping to dice up and have some calamari tonight against the Kraken, but and hopefully some best bets along the way. Your props playlist, I'm looking forward to it. And we've got from south of the border, Don Buster. Welcome, Don. How you doing, buddy?
Thank you, Carmine. Thank you, Andrew. I'm doing very well. Again, another beautiful day in the neighborhood down here. Looking forward to talking some hockey with you guys today. And Carmine, you picked the 3 best games of the 4, so congratulations on that. After the last couple of weeks, I noticed you picked a couple of not really good games. So it looks like you're back on your game, brother. That's for sure.
I was forced to take the Montreal Canadiens because it's either that or talk about Utah and the Anaheim Ducks. But with that said, guys, and I'm going to go to Buster first on this one. We look at the standings, and even with the series of losses that Detroit has had, 49 shots the last time out, and as Andrew said, Allmark stood on his head. 49 shots on goal for Detroit. They could only get a goal in losing 2-1 in that game, and yet they're only 4 points out of a playoff spot. They're at 66 points, I believe, right now. Andrew, I looked over every team, what they're averaging right now, points per game, and it seems like it's going to be much like last year, where 92 points, I think, got the Washington Capitals in. 91, 92 points is going to do it again. This means Detroit, in their final 18 games of the season, with 36 points up for grabs, Buster, is likely going to need 25 points. So games like this, and I know, as Andrew would always say, a must win does not equal will win against a Sabres team that just doesn't care anymore. But they're playing stress-free hockey. They've been playing stress-free hockey for the last 3 months, probably, because they've been eliminated. But is this price on Detroit attractive enough for you that you want to take the Red Wings? How are you playing this one? Minus 145 on the Wings.
Yeah, Carmine. Well, actually, I got 135 already put it out to my clients this morning there. So the line is going up, and I believe for a good reason. And like you said, this is a must win for Detroit. No doubt about it. They've now lost 6 straight games. And the hockey gods, as you mentioned, Carmine, with the 49 shot, they haven't been kind to them at all. Even these last 4 games, I know they got beat by Washington 5-2, I believe, but they were in that game as well. They played Carolina tough at home. Could have maybe deserved a better fate there. And they get beat by Utah, and they outshot them like crazy as well, except for they got some bad goaltending. So it's one thing or the other with Detroit. They get some bad goaltending or they can't score. Like, it's crazy how they can't score those games against Utah and Ottawa. That's for sure. As for the Sabres, they got to be feeling pretty good about themselves after beating Edmonton the other night. But you know what? That Sabres club, different animal on the road, that's for sure. They have now lost 7 straight road games. And I think that comes into play for Detroit here. I think that helps Detroit because Detroit's right there to win a game. This could be as good a game as any to win. And like I said, I believe it is a for sure must game. And I'm going to tell you why I really believe this. Never mind just by looking at the standings. Detroit's got a brutal schedule coming up. After tonight, this is no particular order. They play at Carolina, at Washington. They have a home and home with Vegas. Then they got to play at Utah, at Colorado. That's tough. That's good for me and brother Andrew because they're fighting with our Canadiens for a spot. Not so good for the powers that be in our Detroit office that are Detroit fans. That's for sure. That's a tough, tough schedule. They have to win tonight. Will they do it? We're hoping that they will. We think they will because of the way Buffalo has been playing on the road of late. As for the total, it has gone over 2 of the 3 times this year when they've played. Detroit has beat Buffalo 2 of the 3 times that they played. Some little trends. Buffalo's 6-4 to the over last 10. Detroit's are 7-3 to the over last 10. At 6.5, I think it's a pass. I'm not sure if it's going to get to 6 later this afternoon. If you get a 6, I wouldn't blame anybody for betting it over. But for me, we're going to go with the Red Wings to break that 6-game losing streak tonight.
Right, Andrew, you look at the total in this one, and this is Peter Mrazek's making his first start for the Detroit Red Wings. They pick him up at the trade deadline. And I get it. Listen, this guy played for Chicago, but you look at his line, his last 8 or 9 games, he allowed 5 last time out, 2 in a win over Nashville, 5 the game before that, 3-4, 3-5, 4, and then 5 again, or 6 again. I get it. That's playing for Chicago, but Detroit hasn't been playing the best of defense for a lot of the year, and that's why they're in the position where they're at, where they need to outscore teams to get those W's and at least put up 4 goals in a game. Are the Sabres live tonight, or are you looking at the total here?
You know what, Carm? I'm looking at the first period here. I think this is a good opportunity for the whole first period minus a half goal, and also to switch that up, maybe do a half unit on the money line, half unit first period, half goal. I mean, the price you're getting with that first period, I'm seeing is plus 150, and the money line two-way line is minus 165. You can easily split your bet on both those, half unit on each, 1.5% on each, and take the Red Wings to win that first period. For certain teams that are struggling, teams that are struggling with, number one, just confidence right now, but teams that are struggling to have full 60-minute efforts, where do you find all of your confidence? In the first period. A lot of these teams, you're going to know after 20 minutes anyway if they're going to win the hockey game. So if people are interested in betting on Detroit, you're probably likely to look at them winning the first period, because if they don't, their confidence goes down and down and down, and the likelihood they play well, starts to diminish as Buffalo gains confidence. The funny thing is, when I look at this performance from Buffalo, and Buster talked about, they'll be feeling good after their win against Edmonton, it's almost like I saw a few people that were doing this earlier in the year. Every time San Jose would win a game, people were betting against them the next, because you just can't trust bad teams to do good things twice in a row. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, we just saw, pigs fly, but that's not going to happen again for hundreds of years. And with Buffalo, good for them. They beat the Oilers. I'm not so sure they're going to be able to put that same effort up against Detroit. And the fact is, Detroit has had a brutal March. There's no nice way to put it. You can blame the goaltending. You can blame the forwards for not finishing. You can blame the power play. You can blame whatever the hell you want. They haven't gotten the job done. The number opened minus 130, 135. Now at 145, I expect the number to continue to move. I think the first period is the way to go here. And as Buster mentioned, the Sabres team has been much worse defensively on the road. So hopefully the first period's a good start there for Detroit. And excuse me, guys, Buster. One thing I wanted to add, though, is that last night the Canadiens played, and they played against the Canucks. They were coming off a game against the Calgary Flames where they got goalied. Dustin Wolf was unbelievable last Saturday night for the Flames. So the Habs got shut out. The reason why I bring it up is because Detroit's coming off their game against the Senators, against Allmark, where they got goalied. And so there's 2 ways you can come out of a game where you got goalied. You can feel defeated and kind of fold and bend over and say, I can't believe what's going on right now. I just can't score. Or the message in that locker room should be, it sucked that we didn't win this game, but you guys played a hell of a game. And for about, I'd say 45 minutes, they were probably the better team against Ottawa in that game. So the confidence should still be high for the playmakers. And as we saw yesterday in the Canadiens game versus the Canucks, if Detroit does anything close to what the Habs were able to do after they got goalied, I'm confident Detroit gives us a really good first period, Carm.
Yeah. Sorry, just responding to our live chat. Andrew, listen, I see it. It's the Sabres are just playing now. And that's why I was interested in your thoughts on like even the total, because they're just playing out the string, stat padding. And you look at like Tage Thompson plus 175 to score an anytime goal tonight on DraftKings plus 175. I may take that, even though I'm hoping Detroit wins. I will say this, and Brian Leonard knows this. When I'm at a Vegas Golden Knights game, I am the Vegas Golden Knights are 5-0 when I'm in attendance. When I'm wearing or rocking the Detroit Red Wings jersey, they are 4-1 this year. The only game they lost was when Johnny Detroit was in town with his beautiful wife, and the Prez was there to as well too, where we caught the Leafs and the Red Wings. So that's the only loss to date. So go Wings tonight. With that said, you guys are going to be biased on this game. I have a feeling. Calgary, Vancouver, maybe not this one. The next game after this, Calgary, Vancouver, Buster, minus 140 on the Flames, plus 120 on Vancouver. Total sits at 5.5. Two teams in a playoff battle. Calgary holding on to that spot right now. How are you breaking this one down?
Yeah, Carmine, Vancouver comes to Calgary less than 24 hours after getting beat by the mighty Canadiens last night. This Canucks club has not been playing well of late. They've lost 6 of their last 8 games, and now they have to play that dreaded third game in 4 nights. They got to go over to Calgary to do it. So I do like Calgary. Not too sure about this price at 140. It was 120 earlier in the morning. I do lean to Calgary. I do like Calgary here. The reason why as well, not so much because Vancouver has been really playing terrible hockey of late, because Vancouver do play better on the road for whatever reason than they do at home. And they've been doing that for a few years now. But the Flames haven't played since Saturday, so they should be good and rested here. This is going to be the 4th game tonight between these clubs, and Calgary's won 2 out of the 3. So I do like Calgary here. As for the total, the 3 games between the clubs went 2 unders and 1 over. Now, at 5.5, I've talked about it before here. I just can't bet an under 5.5. I tried every time I try to do it. It's just one of those things. Earlier in the year, had 2 or 3 games. They go mass overs, and they look like they're, handicap wise, they look like good unders to play. This looks like a great under to play. Calgary's gone under 9 of the last 10 games. Vancouver's gone under 7 out of their last 10 games. But like I said, I just can't bet under 5.5. Once the playoffs come, not a problem. You bet not under 5.5. Probably there'll be some 5s going on in the playoffs. But for this game, everybody that wants to bet it under 5.5, good luck to you. I'm going to pass the total. And I like the Flames here to beat Vancouver again tonight.
Drew, I got to ask you something, because this squarely affects a Montreal player as well too. But you look at Dustin Wolf and the season that Dustin's having right now. 22 wins on the season. At home, he's 15-6-2, 217 goals against average, 928 save percentage. 22 wins. If this guy somehow gets to like 30 wins on the season as a rookie goalie, does he enter the Calder discussion? He should be in the Calder discussion anyways, but I know you guys are Montreal fans. Lane Hudson, 49 points. Celebrini, 48, and then 47 for Michkov. So those 3 are right in the mix right now. Before you give us thoughts on this game, if Dustin Wolf gets to 30 wins. Does he win the Rookie of the Year? Does it go to a goalie?
I'll tell you what, Carm, I don't think the odds should be as far away as they are. That's my honest answer. I don't think that they should be, as I mean, Dustin Wolf, actually, I just checked it. Dustin Wolf has passed Michkov, which is pretty impressive, but I still don't think it should be as high. But I think the fact is that the number of assists that Hudson's putting up has been super impressive, breaking certain records for the Canadiens. And I'm going to be completely honest, Carmen, you can say I'm a homer, but I think if he had even better players on that team, he'd have a hell of a lot more assists. I mean, the amount of guys he's passing the puck to that can't score, I'm sure Buster agrees with me on that. I think next year and the year after that, I mean, it's frustrating to watch him set up these guys, Josh Anderson, Dvorak, and some of these defensemen that can't even shoot the puck. But the thing is with Celebrani is that he's leading a bad team. So you always got to ask yourself, is it going to be an award for, a guy that did really well on a bad team, or with Hudson gets the award for a guy on a fringe playoff team? But like you said, Dustin Wolf, the thing is with him, it's like, it's not even just the wins. His goals against average is unbelievable. So very curious to see. And I think the last 18, 20 games of this season will help us decide that a little bit. And we'll kind of see where Wolf starts will end up, how the volume of starts that he'll get and what he can do with them. But I think that goalies deserve more of a nod for the trophy. But at the end of the day, this Flames team hasn't really been that impressive. Like, there's been games where they've only allowed 2 or 3 goals and lost the game. So it's kind of tough. I feel like his team is kind of screwing him, Carm, because overall the NHL wants to look at a goalie that's winning games, and his goals against average is pretty good, but he's still not always winning those games that he should be. But having said all of that, guys, a play for me in this game is actually going to be the first period over 1.5. And a lot of times I've noticed in the past, which is really funny, that these first period over 1.5s, the ones that you have success on are the ones with the lower odds. That these games, like Buster said, this could be a perfect one for an under. But as we saw in the Four Nations tournament, a lot of those games went under, but the first periods flew over, or at least, 1-1 or 2-0 after one. You kind of get that sense in this one. You're going to see a fast start, and then whichever team gets the lead will protect that lead in the late second and third period here. You, of course, got the Vancouver Canucks, second half of a back-to-back, about as desperate as you can possibly get. They had that late rally late in the third period against the Canadiens. They did have a hell of a lot more shots, and they did kind of create more chances. Montembeault had to do pretty well for the Canadiens, but they created a bunch of shots. Sometimes a second half of a back-to-back can kind of light a fire under a team's ass, and I feel like we will see that from the Canucks. As far as the Flames, if they give up even half as many chances as they gave up on Saturday in the first period, they're going to give up 2 or 3 goals. This team cannot continue to get bailed out by a goaltender, and I won't just sit around and watch it. I got to put my money where my mouth is and say that this team will not have as good of a start as they did last time out if they play the same way defensively that they have been. So, you see so many of these first periods with 2 talented teams or 2 sloppy teams, and they're like minus 150 or 160, and then they end up, 1-0. Right after one. It's ridiculous. But with this, it's minus 110, first period over. I think it's a unique situation for both teams. The Flames haven't given up on their playoff hopes. The first period counts a hell of a lot for them, even though they're pretty much out of it. So I like the first period here. I like some goals, guys, and I love the price, Carm.
And I wonder if that price changes at all, Andrew, because you look at right now, as far as the goalies haven't been named, but I have to believe it's going to be Wolf. But it looks like it could be Artur Shilovs for Vancouver. He's 1-6. They recalled him from Abbotsford. He's 1-6 this season, 385 goals against average, 858 save percentage. We know he played well towards the end of last season, and they had to use him in the playoffs. But desperate times, if he's in goal tonight for them, I think this price on Calgary probably gets to minus 150, minus 155. So, and it opened at 125. It's at 140 now. So if you like the Flames, regardless of who is in net for Vancouver, you're going to want to take the Flames now because that price, I believe, will only go up and not down. Andrew, you got to have some props for us. So hit us with your prop playlist and give us a couple winners.
Carm, we will do our best here with these ones. And again, we keep rocking with just two player props. I've been liking doing the two player props, and hopefully at worst we go 1-1. But let's get that sweep tonight. Before I do that, guys, that promo code from yesterday is still available, and it applies to tonight. Big Bet 20 takes 20% off a 30-day NHL pass or full season NHL package. I got a big play going tonight in the NHL. We cashed a big play just a few days ago, and we're going to try and do it again here tonight, guys. Big Bet 20 takes 20% off, but if you want to join me, not just for 3 days, 7 days, this is literally the best opportunity to do so. Take 20% off a 30-day or full season NHL package. Ride with me on the best bets, on the big plays, 5% plays, whatever it might be. All right. A lot of guys in the chat, the live chat, they love this player. So we got to mention him today, and that is Lucas Raymond from the Detroit Red Wings. We're going to take him to get an assist. You guys know I have fallen in love with the assist props here. He has an assist in 4 straight games against Buffalo. He has a point in 8 straight games against Buffalo. This is a head-to-head and recent history type of handicap here with this player prop. Raymond is just on the ice a ton. And when you're on the ice a ton and you're on the power play a ton, you get all the opportunities in the world. And when this Detroit team goes out tonight, Buster talked about it on the show, they have a bad schedule coming up. They need to win this game. Their March has not been pretty. I think Buffalo will come into this one after a game against the Oilers feeling good, and Detroit will probably humble them a little bit. So we'll take a look at Lucas Raymond to record an assist at a really good price there. Here's someone that I've talked about quite a bit, and you guys can call me a homer all you want when you're watching at home. But to me, this number should not be 1.5 anymore for this guy. Juraj Slafkovsky over 1.5 shots on goal. It's only minus 130. I don't know what this guy did besides go on a beach with his girlfriend or friends for a week during the Four Nations, but Juraj Slafkovsky seems to play like a different player every single year after the All-Star break. If only Montreal management could tell him that October was actually February and he could play like this the whole year, it'd be great. Because the way he plays in the second half of the year, February and then March so far, has been fantastic. Coming off a 3-point night last night for the Canadiens, second half of a back-to-back. Slafkovsky over 1.5, 7 of his last 8 games. It's only minus 130. That line scored every single goal for the Canadiens yesterday besides the empty netter. You want to talk about being a team that's top-heavy right now? They don't have a second line. They don't have a second-line center. Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slafkovsky all scored last night for the Habs. We'll take 1.5 over. Don't forget about that code, guys. Big Bet 20, 20% off my full NHL season. Join me all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. Back to you, Carm.
All right. I wish you the best of luck, and thank God you took Lucas Raymond of Detroit. Jake, who's usually one of the guys in our chat normally, has been he's been harping every single show, Lucas Raymond, and cashing tickets. So looks like you're joining him as well in this one. Speaking of cashing tickets, Buster, the Montreal Canadiens are cashing a lot of tickets. That's a nice little segue. Look at their last 8 games. 6-1-1 their last 8 games, 2 points out of a playoff spot. A win tonight will tie them with Columbus. Wins over Ottawa, Carolina, the San Jose Sharks, the Buffalo Sabres back-to-back. They take the they take the Oilers to overtime, and then Dustin Wolf with a 26-save shutout in a 1-0 Montreal loss. But they bounce back and beat Vancouver 4-2 in Vancouver. This is a team that is playing extremely well right now. You look at their home and away splits, 36 points at home, 32 points on the road. I call those good splits because they're picking up points on the road. They're in Seattle tonight. Seattle's minus 145. Buster, putting your bias aside, folding your Montreal pajamas and putting them in on the top shelf, who are you taking tonight in this game?
Hey, did I tell you I had Montreal Canadian pajamas? I didn't. I don't realize I told you that. Maybe I did. Yeah, Montreal comes here less than 24 hours after beating Vancouver 4-2 last night. Good thing for Montreal, it's short little flight. It's probably short as you can get to go from Vancouver to Seattle. I don't think they take a bus, but I'm pretty sure it's a pretty short flight. I know it's a short flight. Think about Montreal in back-to-back games this year. They're 6 wins, 5 losses. So it's not like they have a bad record in back-to-back games. And this will be the first game home for Seattle after a 3-game road trip. So basically not the best of spots for both of these clubs. And Montreal do have some in-season revenge. It was early in the year. They lost 8-2 to Seattle. And that was in Montreal on October 29th. I know it's a long time ago, but still. Seattle laying 145. Regardless if I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, they're not playing for anything. And Montreal are playing to get in the playoffs. And since that break, the First Nations or whatever you want to call it break there they had from the All-Star time, they've been, as you said, Carmine, they've been playing great hockey. They really have. So to get 125 with Montreal, I have to put a little play on that. That's for sure. Regardless if I'm a diehard Montreal Canadiens fan. As for the total here at 6, I do lean to the under 6 here. Both teams have gone 5-5 their last 10. So to over-under, so there's not much there. Montreal have gone on the road 3 of their last 4 under. It would be 4 for 4, but the empty net goal pushed that game over last night. So Montreal tend to be playing some unders on the road here. And Seattle, though, they're 3-1 the last 4 at home to the over. But with them playing this game after that road trip, you might see a little bit of a defensive game here tonight. Again, I like it under 6. If it gets to 5.5, of course, it's a no bet for me. Again, the price, guys. Whether Montreal can win this game or not, I think they can. They've got the revenge. They've got the momentum. And you're getting plus money. Give me Montreal as a small little play. Although, just one thing I'll have to say, I really don't like betting my team because, just one of those things. But yeah, you have to. That's the play here. You can't bet Seattle in my books.
Andrew, I get what Buster's saying, and I'm kind of leaning to the under here as well too. It looks like Montreal, if it serves me correct, Montreal starting their rookie goalie tonight, and can you even pronounce his name? Jakob Dobes. Did I pronounce that correct? I hope I did.
Dobish. Yeah.
Dobish. Okay, so he's off a 1-0 loss to Calgary. He's off a 4-2 win against the Sabres, where he stopped 23 of 25 shots. The game before that against Tampa, he got lit up for 3 goals and 8 shots before they pulled him. And the game against the Kings, but a couple of good performances from him, and they could really use one tonight. I'm just wondering, I like the under in this game, and Montreal is attractive at plus 125. Why do I feel like I'm being reeled in with a fishy line on the Canadiens, where I think it probably should be a little bit lower? I think it should be about minus 125 plus 105, with Seattle still favored. Montreal plus 125, given the, as I mentioned, going, 6 or 7, 1-1 their last 9 games, or 6, 1-1 their last 8. Am I being fished in here, Andrew? I'm going to take the under. Can you take Montreal tonight? Putting aside your bias. You
know what, guys? On this road trip, we talked about how they needed to accumulate points in whatever it might take. And I said yesterday how huge that game was for the Montreal Canadiens as far as their wild card race and as far as their road trip is concerned. I don't think I've ever given out a play like this. And to be honest, as a fan, I'm going to be absolutely, nervous if this happens. But I'm seeing plus 310 as the overtime prop in this game. The Habs have gone to overtime quite a bit in games like this. And back-to-back, Buster mentioned they're 6-5. You talked about the under here, Carm. This team, now they actually have a serviceable backup goalie. In back-to-back games, they've been very protective of their own end. They've almost been more conservative. They're less likely to play more open-ended hockey, I think, when they're on the second half of a back-to-back. So I'm going to agree with you on that under, Carm. Do I like the fact that I'm getting a plus money on the Habs? Sure. I think it's nice because of that revenge factor. I mean, they got their asses kicked. And I'll tell you, people always say that we as handicappers overhype certain games, meaning more than others. But one thing that we all know is that games against a team that beat the shit out of you the last time you played them, that matters. I think it does matter, especially with a team like Seattle. You only play each other once a year. This is literally a type of matchup where one team comes to Montreal, then Montreal comes to Seattle. It's not like if they play Ottawa, they're going to play them 4 times this year, right, or more. So I think that is a factor that would have me leaning towards the Montreal Canadiens side. This game could be a close one. Give me the +1 line on the Montreal Canadiens, +1.5, and the money line. Also a little sprinkle on the draw at +310 in this one here, Carm. And also, actually, not to mention, Seattle did trade away some players, and there were some players that were talked about on the trade block, and they've dealt with injuries. So they're kind of in shambles right now. Like, these are two teams that are a little bit going in different directions. So will they be a team that plays spoiler down the stretch, kind of like how I think Nashville will? Who knows? Because they're right now, Carm, they're not competing for anything. They're competing for contracts and their personal pride, because obviously they're not in the mix right now.
They're 12. They're 12 points back, I think, of a playoff spot, and realistically, they have no shot of making the playoffs. They have a shot, but it is so minimal. The teams that they have to make up points at, they probably have to play like 800 hockey the rest of the way, to have a chance at one of those wildcard spots. You mentioned Nashville, and I had the over 6 in that Nashville game, and just to go off on a bit of a tangent here, frustrating because even after the first period was scoreless, I thought to myself, the way these teams are playing, the goals are going to come. And then they came fast and furious, and all of a sudden, with 12 minutes left in the game, it is 3-2 for Nashville. And at worst, I'm thinking I'm going to get a push in that game. They don't score the rest of the way. San Jose pulls their goalie, takes a penalty, which is even worse because now it's 5-on-5 with the goalie out of the net. And you just don't get those opportunities to score. They had a couple shots at the empty net, didn't get it. Finishes 3-2, 12 scoreless minutes to end the game. So a little frustrating on that play on Customer Appreciation Day. But we move on and we look for some winners on tonight's card. And with that said, Buster, what do you have up at Wager Talk? And give us a show best bet, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Carmine. Just want to talk about, I know this is a hockey show, but March Madness is just around the corner. Actually, all the tournaments are up and going this weekend and this week and today as we speak. You can get every game from us right up to the Final Four, the final game on April 7th for only $169. And that includes all 5% plays that we put out during the tournament and during these other little tournaments that they have. That price was $215, so you get that for $169. We're on some nice runs in college basketball. We're short time. We're hitting 75% on a nice little 6-2 run the last few days. Long term, 68% we've been hitting with our last 58 college basketball plays. So you'll want to go over and grab that great deal for $169 for the rest of the college basketball season. And head over to WagerTalk.com, and we have a 4% college basketball play up for tonight. And like I said, go check that out. Grab that deal. It's a great deal at $169. Our show play is going to be in the game we didn't talk about, and that's the Utah-Anaheim game. I'm going to summon up my best Andrew McGinnis and play the first period over 1.5 minus 120. Both these clubs have been trending to the over of late. Anaheim are 5-2 their last 7 to the over, and Utah are 3-1-1 last 5 to the over. However, the reason why we like this one over, they've played twice this year. Both games, 3 goals in the first period. We just need 2 tonight for the win. Both teams have not much to play for. Looking for a little bit of offensive hockey right from the start. Those 2 games end up being 5-4 each game that they played this year. So we're going with the first period over 1.5 in the Anaheim-Utah game. So I want to thank you, Carmine. Thank you, Andrew, for having me on Wednesday. Very much appreciated. Thanks, everybody, for watching, everybody in the chat, everybody that's going to be watching in the future. And best of luck with all your plays, everyone, whether it be NHL hockey, college basketball. And as always, have a great day from beautiful Mexico.
Yes, enjoy that sun, Buster. Try not to get
Screw
hit
you,
by a
Buster.
couple avocados. Rob Braley has entered the chat room. Rob's tossing some avocados at Buster. Rob's a good friend of ours.
Tell him thanks for the
Liverpool
game yesterday.
Okay,
Yeah.
Buster, you're done for now. So please mute his mic. But Rob and I went for lunch, and Rob reminded me of this game where Rob was down in Mexico, and Buster was there. I think it was called the Banana Bar or something like that, where Buster's game completely fell apart in the second half, and he trashed the bar. That bar has never recovered. It was probably one of the worst bad beats of Buster's life. Let's hope that never happens again, because we need Buster on the show and not in one of those Mexican jails. With that said, Andrew, I'm gonna my free play is gonna be in that Anaheim game as well too. I'm gonna take him in the first. I'm gonna take Utah in the first period. I'm gonna lay the half a goal, get plus 125 on money. I think it's a bad scheduling spot for Anaheim here. Second of a back-to-back after allowing 7 last night at home to Washington. Their 3rd game in 4 nights, and it's actually their 5th game in 9 nights. This team has been very active over the last 9 to 10 days. Let's see if we can take advantage of some tired legs this morning against a Utah team that didn't give up against the Leafs. They battled back, scored 3, sent it to overtime, picked up an important point, and are right in the mix, 3 points back of a playoff spot. This team is playing well. Let's take Utah at home in the first period, minus a half. 2 plays up in the NHL tonight, 1 play up in Champions League soccer today. Yesterday's 5% play was a winner. Let's keep it going. Pick up that 3-day all access maybe, because I have a big play in the NHL tomorrow night. So you'll get that as part of the 3-day all access package. And then one final promo. Melissa says this expires tonight. ICE 100. ICE 100 is the code to get $100 off the rest of the NHL season and playoffs. So that's it for me. Andrew, give us a best bet and close us out.
Carm, 3 of us must all have plans tonight, because we all just want to bet on the first period of games that we're interested in. That's where I'm going to go as well. But again, guys, big play going for me tonight in the NHL. Last night, it was an absolutely phenomenal day on the show, so I should feel good about it. But my one play was Florida team total, and man, what a choke by them on the money line. But they did not sniff that team total, so we did not get there. We cashed the best bet yesterday on the show with the Devils team total, cashed a few other plays as well, but the client plays and the big ones are the ones that matter the most. And I have a big one going tonight you guys can grab and use that promo code BIGBET20. Take 20% off a 30-day or a full season-long NHL package. We're going to go with the first period over tonight. And I think that, to me, when I look at this game, guys, I just want to make sure I confirm the goalies. And I think Carm could be right about Artur Shilov's being the goalie there. Canucks and Flames, kind of a rivalry game here between these 2 teams. And one team coming off a game where they got bailed out by their goalie. One team playing second half of a back-to-back. I expect a hell of a lot of action in the first period. Whether or not this game goes full over in the full game, I'm not sure. But first period, I think we should see a lot of action and a lot of chances for both teams. All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Please do us a favor and hit that like button. It does help us out in a big, big way, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching on X. Spread the love, share the video, and tell your friends about Puck Time. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time on WagerTalk TV.